It's really, she was 0 for 7 in the first half and 4 points and just put us on her back.
On a night that once again proved why the WNBA has become a constant source of drama, intensity, and emotional storytelling, the clash between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun on August 17, 2025, unfolded as one of those games that seemed destined to be remembered by players, fans, analysts, and anyone who has been following the season with an eye on both the league's growth and the controversies that have shaped it. As the Indiana Fever, led by the undeniable magnetism and relentless determination of Caitlin Clark, took the court against a Connecticut Sun team that has long prided itself on physicality, balance, and a reputation for being one of the toughest defensive units in the league, setting up a showdown that was as much about reputations and legacies as it was about standings and playoff implications. And from the very beginning of the game, the atmosphere inside the arena was electric. Fans wearing Fever jerseys, waving signs that carried slogans about resilience and comeback energy, while Sun fans countered with bold confidence, knowing their team had the size, veteran poise, and grit to make things difficult for Clark and her teammates. Yet none of the anticipation could truly capture how dramatic and exhausting the 40 minutes of basketball would be, because this wasn't just a game of scoring runs. It was a theater of emotions, a contest that featured highlight reel plays, tactical battles, questionable officiating, and moments where the energy in the building shifted like a storm rolling in, leaving both teams battling not just opponents but the weight of expectation, pressure, and narratives that have been building all season long, especially for the Fever, who continue to live under the microscope with every possession dissected, every Clark three-pointer analyzed, and every stumble magnified by both supporters and critics. And right from tip-off, Clark showed that she was locked in, her body language firm, her eyes scanning the Sun defense that tried to push her off the perimeter with traps and switches. But she responded by breaking down the defense with quick drives, step-back jumpers, and her trademark deep logo threes, igniting roars from Fever Nation that had traveled and tuned in across the country. Though Connecticut wasn't about to let the game become another Clark highlight reel without resistance, as Alyssa Thomas, the heart of the Sun, imposed herself physically in the paint, muscling her way to rebounds, orchestrating fast breaks with her unique point-forward style, and setting a tone that reminded Indiana that this was going to be a war of attrition as much as a showcase of skill. And while Thomas's relentless interior play forced the Fever to collapse defensively, it also opened up shots for DeWanna Bonner, who knocked down timely mid-range jumpers and threes that kept the Suns' offense flowing, showing once again why she remains one of the most consistent veterans in the league. And yet, as much as Connecticut pressed their advantage, the Fever fought back with resilience, with Kelsey Mitchell playing her role as a steady secondary scorer, slashing into gaps, hitting pull-up shots, and spacing the floor so Clark wouldn't be double-teamed on every possession, while Alyssa Smith battled for offensive boards and second-chance points, proving that Indiana's fight was more than just a one-woman show. Though it was undeniable that the crowd, the cameras, and the commentators kept circling back to Clark, who in the second quarter went on a personal scoring tear, drilling 3 consecutive threes, including one from just inside half-court, a shot that sent the Fever bench into hysterics and forced Connecticut to call timeout. The arena shaking as chants of MVP poured down from the stands. And for a moment, it felt as if momentum had fully shifted to Indiana, but as has so often been the case in this league, the Sun did not fold, answering with defensive adjustments and timely baskets, most notably when Breonna Jones established her presence in the post, punishing the Fever inside with her size and footwork, drawing fouls and knocking down free throws that slowed Indiana's tempo, and by halftime the score was tight, both teams locked in a dead heat that reflected not just skill but sheer willpower, setting the stage for a second half where every possession would feel heavier, every mistake magnified, and every whistle potentially decisive. And indeed, the third quarter saw tempers flare, with Clark taking a hard foul on a drive to the rim that left her wincing and clutching her shoulder while Sun players argued it was a clean play, sparking debates among commentators and fans online, who immediately questioned whether officials were doing enough to protect star players from excessive physicality, a topic that has haunted the league throughout Clark's rookie campaign and now well into her second season. And though Clark shook it off, her frustration was visible as she exchanged words with the referees. Yet she responded the best way she knows how, by sinking back-to-back jumpers on the very next possessions, sending a message that physicality wouldn't break her rhythm, while Indiana's defense tightened around the perimeter. forcing Connecticut into rushed shots, yet the Sun showed their championship DNA, with Thomas continuing to crash the boards, Bonner hitting clutch buckets, and Ty Harris stepping up with critical backcourt play, creating a back-and-forth rhythm that left fans holding their breath as the fourth quarter began with the score tied once more. And it was here that the drama hit peak levels, as every possession turned into a battle of execution and nerves. Clark draining another deep three that nearly blew the roof off the arena, only for Bonner to answer with a dagger of her own. And with under 2 minutes left, the Fever trailed by 2. The tension palpable, the entire game boiling down to whether Clark and her teammates could find one more push against a Sun team that simply refused to yield. And in what will be replayed for weeks, Clark dribbled at the top of the key, faked left, spun right, and launched a step-back three from the logo that splashed through the net, giving Indiana a 1-point lead and sending her teammates storming off the bench in celebration. But the Sun still had time, and in the final possession, Alyssa Thomas muscled her way to the basket, drawing a foul that many Fever fans immediately argued was soft, igniting controversy as she went to the line and coolly knocked down both free throws, giving Connecticut the lead back by 1 with seconds left. And with everything on the line, Indiana had one final chance. The ball, of course, in Clark's hands, and she drove past her defender, pulled up from mid-range, released a shot that hung in the air for what felt like eternity, only to rim out as the buzzer sounded, leaving the Sun victorious in a game that was both heartbreaking and inspiring. Because though the Fever walked off in defeat, they had once again showcased their growth, their fight, and the undeniable star power of Caitlin Clark, whose performance even in loss underscored why she is the central figure in the WNBA's ongoing evolution. And as fans left the arena and analysts debated what the result meant for playoff seedings, MVP races, and the wider storylines of the season, what lingered was not just the final score but the spectacle, the sense that this game was more than a contest. It was a symbol of everything the league is wrestling with: star power versus team balance, physicality versus protection, old guard versus new wave. And in the end, whether you were a Fever fan, a Sun loyalist, or simply a lover of the sport, you couldn't deny that August 17, 2025, had delivered a chapter that will be revisited, debated, and remembered in the ongoing saga of women's basketball.
Drives it. Lob pass finds Sims. Downhill Odyssey, Sims for...
The battle between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun on August 17, 2025, unfolded not merely as another regular season contest but as a spectacle of passion, pressure, and persistence that highlighted the shifting tides within the WNBA, with the Indiana Fever continuing their journey of growth under the constant spotlight created by Caitlin Clark's magnetism, while the Connecticut Sun brought their veteran toughness, disciplined defense, and collective will to prove why they remain one of the most consistent contenders in the league. And as the game tipped off, the intensity in the arena was already at a fever pitch, with chants for Clark echoing through the stands while Sun supporters roared back with their own defiance, creating a playoff-like energy that every player on the floor could feel, because this wasn't just two teams colliding, it was two philosophies clashing. Indiana's youthful energy anchored by Clark's star power against Connecticut's battle-tested physicality and team-first execution, and from the opening minutes the tension was evident as Clark launched her signature deep threes, stretching the Sun defense beyond comfort, while Alyssa Thomas responded with her bruising drives and relentless rebounding, a contrast of styles that defined the night. And though Clark dazzled with her early scoring bursts, pulling up off the dribble, navigating traps, and delivering laser-like passes to teammates, Connecticut remained grounded, finding rhythm through Dawana Bop, mid-range shot-making, and Breonna Jones's punishing interior presence, ensuring that Indiana could not run away with momentum. And as the first quarter closed with both sides nearly tied, it was clear this would be a chess match, where every adjustment, every substitution, and every decision would ripple across the outcome. And in the second quarter, Clark went on another tear, silencing doubters who said the Sun would overwhelm her with physicality, as she drained consecutive logo threes, brought the crowd to its feet, and even dished a behind-the-back assist to Nalissa Smith for a